All right. So once again, I'm live coming in. Came on last night. Wanted to come in on the real Happy New Year, not the fake one. You get what I'm saying. A lot of stuff been going on lately. I think people realize that as well. But it's all good in the neighborhood. Like I said, I just been chomping at the bit, seeing what's going on. And it's been great on some aspects, some not. But we are in the spring now. And that's pretty good to say.
A bedtime story.
So that means that, we gotta do our due diligence, things like that. Take a serious dive on some of this stuff that's been going on in our world, though. Because there has been a lot of things going on that people are not talking about. One thing for sure, we better be prepared. Is what I can say from my standpoint. That's what I can say. But let's see what we got here. One thing is talking about mechanical moms, so.
A pregnancy is defined as the time between conception and birth. However, the World Health Organization reported in a recent study that preterm births are the #1 killer of children under the age of 5, nearly 1 million global deaths. So what if the answer to this was this, the artificial womb? This year, the FDA began discussing the possibility of using artificial wombs to help premature babies survive. But does this represent a scientific breakthrough or an ethical enigma? Imagine after being pregnant for 22 weeks, your life is turned upside down.
I started bleeding and then I got really scared. So I delivered Emily. And I was waiting for her to cry, and she didn't cry. And then our obstetrician said that she didn't make it.
Engineers and scientists around the world are currently working to develop systems that mimic the human uterus to prevent preemie deaths. The artificial womb, as it's commonly known, wouldn't replace a human womb, but would instead serve as a vital bridge for extremely premature babies. The artificial placenta prototype is typically a translucent container made of biocompatible material. This creates a protective environment so the fetus's lungs, intestines, and brain continue to develop. Upon birth, the premature baby is carefully placed inside the artificial womb, submerged in the synthetic amniotic fluid, just like in a natural womb. The baby is then connected to a system that functions like a placenta. This umbilical cord-like connection provides the baby with oxygen, nutrients, and also removes waste, just like a natural placenta. The conditions inside the artificial womb are carefully controlled by maintaining the correct temperature, fluid levels, and pressure, like the conditions of a natural womb. During this process, the baby's vital signs, growth, and development are closely monitored. With the support of the artificial womb, the preemie's underdeveloped lungs and other organs can develop further. As the baby continues developing, the conditions in the artificial womb are adjusted to prepare the baby to be born for a second time. Scientists believe that this technology could be a game changer and save people from heartache. People like Marnie. Marnie lost another premature baby after the loss of her first baby, and then this happened.
Well, the third time, I basically went on bed rest to give our baby the best chance of survival. Jacqueline was born at 23 weeks. I was like, not again. I couldn't believe that this is going to happen again. Our obstetrician said to me, I'm going to do everything that I can to try and save your baby. But he couldn't.
Research by the University of Utah Health determined that women who've had one premature baby have a 35 to 50% chance of having another. Companies like Australia's Independent Institute Women and Infants Research Foundation, where Marnie and Khan's story was taken from, are doing their best to help families like Marnie and Khan with their artificial womb research. So while the FDA compares standard neonatal care against artificial wombs to see if there's a great enough improvement to move this technology forward, scientists in Japan have already taken a huge step forward with sharks. When a shark is born prematurely, salt water is toxic to its fragile body. Unable to regulate salt levels, it often dies within hours. Researchers at the Okinawa Churaumi Aquarium in Japan came up with a solution: build an artificial uterus. This manufactured uterus is essentially a specialized tank that mimics the shark's natural environment, maintaining optimal conditions like temperature. Fertilized eggs were carefully transferred into this artificial womb. Then scientists closely monitored the eggs, adjusting conditions as needed to ensure the embryos developed correctly. The artificial womb can sustain midterm Mahler's lantern shark embryos for up to a year, which is about 2/3 of their normal 18-month gestation period. Scientists hope this system will help sharks in their aquarium and eventually aid in boosting wild populations of other endangered shark species. Back in 2017, Alan Flake and Marcus Davey, bioengineers and researchers at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, developed an artificial womb that grew a preterm lamb in a biobag filled with synthetic amniotic fluid. They've now done this over 300 times. While this all may sound like science fiction and raise some ethical concerns, engineers and scientists are driven by a bold vision to one day save the lives of premature babies in all forms. So if you enjoyed this week's episode of The Circuit, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe for more incredible engineering news.
So that's a big thing about artificial wombs, but they're using dead human bodies to go in artificial wombs. I just view this as very sickening, but at the same time, I just think it's just going on a little bit too frequently. But the womb is supposed to be sacred, but it doesn't seem to be sacred these days.
Do you have a car? Do you have a clean driving record? Did you know that you could pay as low as $39 a month in car?
Introducing Ectolife, the world's first artificial womb facility, powered entirely by renewable energy. Ectolife allows infertile couple to conceive a baby and become the true biological parents of their own offspring. It's a perfect solution for women who had their uterus surgically removed due to cancer or other complications. With Ectolife, premature births and C-sections will be a thing of the past. Ectolife is designed to help countries that are suffering from severe population decline, including Japan, Bulgaria, South Korea, and many others. The facility features 75 highly equipped labs. Each state-of-the-art lab can accommodate up to 400 growth pods or artificial wombs. Every pod is designed to replicate the exact conditions that exist inside the mother's uterus. A single building can incubate up to 30,000 lab-grown babies per year. Ectolife allows your baby to develop in an infection-free environment. The pods are made of materials that prevent germs from sticking to their surfaces. Every growth pod features sensors that can monitor your baby's vital signs, including heartbeat, temperature, blood pressure, breathing rate, and oxygen saturation. The artificial intelligence-based system also monitors the physical features of your baby and reports any potential genetic abnormalities. The pods are equipped with a screen that displays real-time data on the developmental progress of your baby. These data are sent directly to your phone so you can track your baby's health from the comfort of your zone. The app also provides you with a high-resolution live view of your baby's development. A special section in the app allows you to watch a time-lapse of your baby's growth and share it directly with your loved ones. Because babies can recognize language and learn new words while still in the womb, Ectolife growth pods feature internal speakers that play a wide range of words and music to your baby. Through the app, you can choose the playlist that your baby listens to. You can also directly sing to your baby and make them familiar with your voice before birth. Our goal is to provide you with an intelligent offspring that truly reflects your smart choices. Ectolife improves your bonding experience with your baby. Thanks to a 360 degrees camera that's fitted inside your baby's growth pod, you can use your virtual reality headset to explore what it's like to be in your baby's place. See what they see and hear what they hear. Using a wireless haptic suit connected to your baby's growth pod, you will be able to sense their kicks in the womb and share this experience with your friends and family members. With Ectolife, your baby will receive the best nutrients that can support their growth. Each group of pods is connected to 2 central bioreactors. The first bioreactor contains nutrients and oxygen, which are supplied to your baby through an artificial umbilical cord.
So it's very interesting how this is going down. But it shows you the type of stuff that we really got going on in society.
A pregnancy is defined as the
Just keep that in mind. So we got to find a way to deal with these type of issues. Yeah, I just saw it. I mean, they always do that, so it is what it is, man. I can't do nothing about it, man. You know how they do. It ain't my fault, man. That's life.
Some developing news now. Health officials in Washington, D.C. say there is a confirmed case of measles in a person who has traveled on a southbound Amtrak train last week. The passenger was on board the Amtrak Northeast Regional 175 from Boston to D.C. This was on March 19th between 7:30 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. That train made stops in our area, and other passengers were potentially exposed to the virus. So joining us now for the very latest on this is Dr. Susanna Hills, assistant professor at Columbia University Medical Center. Dr. Hills, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, so let's talk about it, though. The latest stats show there have been 4 cases of measles reported in New York City in the past couple of weeks, and then there's 3 in Jersey. And we do know that this area of the country highly vaccinated for measles. So is there really a need to worry about this as of right now?
Well, honestly, Bianca, it only takes falling in vaccination rates a little bit for us to end up with a measles outbreak. And we know that even in New York, countrywide, including New York, vaccination rates have been a little bit lower than what's been necessary. 2023 to 2024 vaccination rates were just below 93%. We need them at 95% to have what we call herd immunity and the ability to prevent these outbreaks. And you see what has happened in the outbreaks across Texas and New Mexico and now Oklahoma, over 350 cases. So it doesn't take a lot to cause a really impressive outbreak.
Talk to us about what exactly happens to an adult if they contract measles, if they were not previously vaccinated for this.
Yeah, so the main concern is that this virus can cause encephalitis and it can cause pneumonia, which can be life-threatening. So 3 in 1,000 people that contract this virus, pediatric or adult, will die from either encephalitis or intractable pneumonia. And so it really is a very dangerous disease. And now that we have vaccinations, we know this vaccine, the MMR vaccine, is 97% effective in protecting us from these things and preventing these things from happening.
Mm-hmm. We talked about a lot of adults have already been vaccinated for measles from their kids. Is that still effective? Since, you know, if we're talking about born between 1957 and 1968, those vaccines that they got back then, still protective for them?
If it was a live vaccine vaccine, then yes, it should be protective, but it is a good idea to check if you're not sure. And they can draw your blood and see if you have protection, if you have antibodies. If you have been appropriately vaccinated, you should be protected for life. If there are other concerns about immunodeficiencies or the type of vaccine you may have received, or did you get 2 doses or just 1, you're not sure, you can always get tested and see what your immune status is.
Yeah, some great advice there, Dr. Hills. Thanks so much for joining us and breaking this down.
You bet.
Some developing news now. Health officials.
So let's go ahead and bring in ABC News medical contributor.
So that is saying, and people is 500 cases of measles across 90 states. Also, Utah has banned fluoride in public drinking water, so that's pretty good.
Contributor Dr. Alok Patel to break this all down, along with other health issues that we've been following this week in this week's Health Roundup. So, Dr. Patel, thank you so much for being here. Let's talk about fluoride first, because many cities throughout the years have removed fluoride from their water supply, but this is the first state to work to remove it. Fluoride has long been proven to prevent cavities. So what effect could this have on dental hygiene in the state long term? And what, if any, health risks are involved with ingesting it in our water?
Gio, this could absolutely disproportionately affect people living in rural or underserved communities who don't have readily access to dental care or oral health specialists, especially children. Now, even if we're just looking at Utah itself, data from the University of Utah shows us that about 60% of Utah counties are health professional shortage areas, meaning these are children who don't have dentists and may not have follow-up care. And fluoride, we know, is a low-cost, low-risk intervention to protect those teeth against dental caries or cavities. And people often forget that cavities are a very serious chronic illness of childhood that can affect everything from sleep to education and create some long down-term issues. There's a lot of misinformation out there about fluoride. And the reality is that the studies showing low IQ are inconclusive and mostly done in non-US populations. So science first.
It is so interesting to follow. Let's go ahead and talk about the measles now, Dr. Patel, because there is so much happening there. According to the latest CDC data, there are nearly 500 cases of measles. 400 of those are in Texas alone. So how can people protect themselves from catching measles? And what should you do if you don't know if you're vaccinated or you're not? Can you get the shot just in case?
I can tell by your question that there is so much happening right now. We are far surpassing cases we had last year. It's important for people to realize that 97% of cases in the measles right now are in unvaccinated individuals. So vaccines are by far the most proven way to protect yourself against measles with lifelong coverage. If you don't know your status, talk to a health professional. If you've been exposed and you're unsure, talk to a health professional. We saw that from that case from the Amtrak, just how contagious measles is. This virus can survive on services for hours.
4 hours. Okay. And thousands of employees are expected to be laid off from Health and Human Services next week. Overnight, ABC News did learn that the FDA's top vaccine official who played a crucial role in the development of the COVID-19 vaccines during the pandemic, he's actually resigned. As a doctor, what are the impacts that you and your colleagues are preparing for right now?
The impacts are widespread and potentially starting from even local public health efforts to scientific progress to preparedness for the next pandemic. We don't know yet what the downstream effect of the 20,000 cuts to HHS employees, but also the billions of dollars that have been cut, what that could really have. I'm hearing reports about people losing their NIH-funded grants to study gene therapy, mental health, addiction, even pediatric cancer research. Peter Marks, as you mentioned, who resigned, put out a statement saying that we have prioritized misinformation as opposed to scientific ingenuity. So this is a very big warning call. It's not just about cutting money to.
And that's why they say Texas is back. There's a jam, 15,000 more people, 15,000 people more than last year. So that's very interesting. Mm. And what are you talking about lawyers over there?
Wix, one platform, any website. Unlimited creation.
Um, Going through some things right quick. Play this thing on this thing would dictate my life through fashion. Because people really need to know this. So I'm going to show you there's a lot of things going on that people need to correct and stuff like that. What's up, man?
So what?
Not much, man. How you doing, man?
Nah, I'm not yo. Jacob. Chinny.
Yeah, I was talking about these artificial wounds and things like that. So earlier, they used dead body parts to make artificial wounds. Spare body parts to be grown in artificial artificial wounds and can be used as red meat.
Mm.
Crazy stuff, ain't it, man?
It's called thug mentality, baby.
To me, it's called Solar Green, actually, but so I got this video on play for you. We talking about a lot of stuff. It's kind of interesting.
In 2010, there was a simultaneous raid on 2 different locations in California. Heavily armed agents stormed into private properties, arresting several U.S. citizens for dealing in a restricted substance. Now, drug raids happen quite frequently in the U.S. It's just one of the ways the authorities keep us free from malicious and harmful substances. Only this wasn't a drug raid. The substance being sold wasn't crack or crystal meth or even bootleg hooch. It was milk.
This is an example of just how heavy-handed the government is in routing out disfavored parties. In this case, the government operates on a public interest argument that raw milk is inherently unsafe. It is a breeding ground for bacteria, and because it is not pasteurized, the argument is it carries with it an enormous increased risk for consumers, such that it shouldn't be available. This is the position of the Food and Drug Administration. And the government cracks down on this one segment. And they do so with brute force, sending in stormtroopers, essentially.
What's up, Frank?
What up, man?
You doing all right?
I'm living this game, you feel me?
Okay, well, I'm glad you're living it, man. It's okay. Talking about fascism. I was talking about wounds earlier, but we talking about stuff. They can break down some marijuana stuff in here, and they breaking down the milk industry. Well, they're breaking down how the government raised you for things that may not even be your fault.
Damn. Sounds like some entrapment type shit to me, you know?
Could be. It could be, brother. Actually, it is. All right, let me play this video. You will hear it.
And shutting down the milk plant in its entirety and confiscating all of the milk, regardless of whether it's contaminated or not.
The FDA raided this organic market in order to keep us safe from the dangers of unpasteurized milk. Buying and selling unpasteurized milk, that is. They have no problem with you drinking raw milk if, say, you find a stray cow on the way home and decide to milk it yourself. But a reputable farmer trying to sell some to willing customers, that's a big no-no. Although this organic market was a club, with each member having signed a waiver acknowledging the potential risk of drinking raw milk, This was not good enough for the FDA. Did these people not realize that raw milk is a gateway food? What next? People eating cheese? Knocking back raw oysters, sushi, or, heaven forbid, eggs? Luckily, the FDA was there to step in and save these adults at gunpoint from the dangers of raw milk.
The reason why pasteurized milk doesn't come under this scrutiny, and the reason why raw milk as opposed to cheese, eggs, raw oysters, sushi, why they don't come under the same FDA scrutiny, is that the major milk manufacturers are a principal lobby within the FDA. They have very small profit margins per unit. And so if in Whole Foods and other places there are significant numbers of consumers who come in to buy raw milk products, it is a significant economic effect on the large milk processors.
The California milk raids were not an isolated event. Over the past few years, there have been raids all across the U.S. to crack down on the sale of many organic products. But despite any claims of safety concerns or risk, one thing is clear. The actions of the regulatory agencies, and by extension, the politicians that manage them, are not motivated by any notion of public good. They're motivated by the desire to stay in power. That takes money.
The problem with the U.S. political system.
So basically, what's going on? You got, if you eating it yourself, you can sell, but they don't want you making no sales off it. If you get what I'm saying.
Wait, say that one more time. Say that again. Say it again.
They don't want you making no sales off the milk. They want you. If you gonna have it, it's for you. Don't sell it to nobody.
These motherfuckers, bro. Everything's a racket, man. Hoarding ass motherfuckers. That's how you know this is a corporation. It's not a country, man. I'll tell you that. That's important shit.
Yep. I'm playing.
Didn't he want to get some eggs? Didn't he want to say he wanted to borrow some eggs from another country? How dumb is that, bro?
Yeah, I heard about that.
That's some psyop shit, though. That's some psyop shit.
Is that it revolves around money. And so immediately that sets off this dichotomy of those who can afford to play in the system and those who can't. To run for office, you need $1.5 million. You need about $11 million to run for the Senate. So if you don't have money, where do you go? You go to the people who have a hand stretched out with money, ready to fund your campaign, but they're going to want something in return because, of course, they're not giving this money for charitable reasons. It very clearly advantages big businesses because they have more capacity to devote resources to influence buying.
Political influence has become just another arsenal in the marketing toolbox of large companies. Only instead of promoting themselves, they use this influence to suppress the competition. And the key to it all are lobbyists.
People think that we live in a free market society, and we don't. Big government and big business are way too closely aligned today, especially in the United States. And this, is because of lobbying, basically. We have cronyism. We don't have capitalism in the United States, especially when it comes to the military, and then big medicine, big food, like Monsanto, with all the GMOs and stuff. Most people don't want it, but yet it's being forced on us because Monsanto has such leverage in Congress through all the lobbying of the food industry.
So what is lobbying? Well, simply, lobbying is the act of influencing decisions made by legislators and regulatory agencies. The guys who make the rules. And the people who exert this influence are called lobbyists. Well-connected professionals with slick suits and slicker tongues. Lobbyists tend to be experts in the fields they lobby for. They advise lawmakers on how to make sure Americans are getting the most benefit from the laws they pass, while also reducing potential harm. It's a good idea. Why wouldn't you want an expert's advice? Here's where things get screwy. Sometimes the lawmakers decide the cash is greener on the other side, so they become lobbyists themselves. They leave government and join a private company taking their connections and influence with them. This phenomenon is called the revolving door. People going from regulating an industry to working in that same industry, and sometimes back and forth multiple times. Corporations love having such powerful people on their payroll, so they do everything they can to lure them over. And for their part, the regulators help out by making a few choice laws.
So basically, that's part of it about the milk and things like that and organic food. Now we're gonna get to the real thing here. But basically, it's saying they don't mind you drinking raw milk, but they don't want you selling to nobody else. They don't want you to use organic food and be selling to nobody else. The FDA is in charge of that, not you, brother. Not you. They're in charge of that. So do what you're told. Shut the hell up. What do you think about that, Frank?
Racket. It's a racket, man. Ponzi scheme racket.
Shaq.
You know what I'm saying?
Shaq, do what you're told, Shaq. You can eat all the milk and cheese you want, whatever you want to do.
But they act like that shit's good for you anyway, though. That shit's not even good for you.
Well, it may not be, but hey, man, you gotta sell it out the store. Can't sell it to somebody else.
These motherfuckers, man, that shit, everything, man.
Do what you're told, please.
Facts. And then that lobbyist shit, that's just somebody, you know what I'm saying? That's just basically a shark, you know what I'm saying? That's, you know what I'm saying? That's like the loan shark dude, you know what I'm saying? To buy you off. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do, you know what I'm saying, pay him back a certain amount of time or give him, you know what I'm saying? Or in this case, you gotta do certain favors for these motherfuckers, man.
Here you go right here.
Everything's anything
And
free.
Here we go right here.
Made the highest salary they had ever then paid to that date, $2.5 million a year, as a compliment for his selling out the nation to protect the drug industry.
So while the government may be choosing, often poorly, which food and drugs they think are safe for us to have, at least they aren't trying to force any of them on you. Except perhaps for vaccines. George Lambert is a representative of the New Hampshire State House, and he is a leading proponent for vaccination choice in his state.
When I got to the State House, somebody asked me if I would work on a bill for vaccination choice. The more research I did, the more I found out that in the risk of an epidemic, they can go out and vaccinate everyone without choice.
To say that vaccines are compulsory, which in the U.S. is the struggle right now, every state has their own exemptions that parents can claim. But now the push is on to say that we're going to force you to get vaccinated, whether you like it or not. You don't have the freedom to decide.
If we talk about medical safety and freedom, everybody should have the choice of what medical procedures they want. You can get a medical exclusion, you can get a religious exclusion, but you can't get a conscientious exclusion. We had an issue in New Hampshire a couple of years ago where there were some injections that were contaminated that might actually contain meningitis. But if you were required to get a vaccination or an injection, how do you know the injection isn't contaminated? But if you want your children to go to school or participate in any of these other activities, the government says you either do this or you're excluded. That's a problem. Because when the news says there's something that puts your life at risk, you should be able to make an educated decision.
That's what freedom really comes down to in the end. The freedom to decide, for good or bad, how you want to live. And that freedom should not be overruled by the government, except in the most extreme cases, or to keep us safe from the most diabolical of threats. Marijuana, one of the most dangerous drugs known to mankind. Responsible for almost as many deaths per year as asteroids or shark attacks, it can cause an otherwise healthy adult to giggle or get a bit hungry.
No, they telling you. No, they ain't lying. They got it right here. There have been 0 marijuana deaths.
Oh, they said it's more dangerous. They were saying it, and they took the cause of. Oh yeah, 0. Yeah. They
no, they making jest. They say cigarettes cause more. Marijuana don't cause. They tell you.
Oh, they like I see like sarcastic. Got you.
Yeah, that's what they're telling you now. They're telling you marijuana don't cause all them deaths, but the government telling you to do. Watch this.
Thankfully, the brave men and women from numerous agencies have been waging a tireless and expensive war against this dangerous plant for decades.
The war on drugs is a war on the people. It's a war to fight for the pharmaceutical industry so they could sell their psychotropic drugs. I mean, Jesus, how many people that I hear horror stories from their children whacked out on Vicodin? Oh, that's a beaut. Yeah, how about a little Oxycontin, to make you happy? Feel some pain, this will get rid of it. But don't get high, man. No weed, it's gonna kill you. You saw Reefer Madness.
Reefer Madness is a celebrated PSA film produced for the U.S. government. Known for its even-handed and unbiased approach to the subject of marijuana, which it claims is worse than heroin, it saved generations from the dangers of marijuana. Even a single puff of Mary Jane can make you dance like a fool, laugh uncontrollably, or violently murder your friends. How embarrassing. NORML is a non-profit organization whose aim is to legalize cannabis throughout the United States.
There are 800,000 people a year arrested in the United States on marijuana charges, 90% for possession only. So over a 40-year period now, that's roughly 27 million people have been arrested on marijuana charges. So it's created a huge universe of people who have been effectively screwed by the government. When we sued the DEA in the classic case, NORML versus DEA, the judge ruled in 1988 in his final decision that marijuana, quote, is the safest therapeutic substance known to man. That's a pretty strong indictment against the rest of the drugs.
So the courts acknowledge that marijuana is the most therapeutic substance known to man. But since as early as the 1930s, marijuana has been the subject of countless heavy-handed and fallacious propaganda.
Long-term use of marijuana can lead to a psychological dependency. Soon, you'll be taking all sorts of measures to get your fix. People will start calling you names like pothead or Smoky McBongwater. Losing all motivation, it's likely that you'll drop out of school, take a sudden liking to sitar music, and maybe even get felt up by a cop or two.
Marijuana has been propagandized by the United States government and its surrogates at the state level for at least 75 years. There are 1,200 Partnership for Drug-Free America ads, and 85 to 90% of those ads have been against marijuana. And the name alone, Drug-Free America, deserves nothing but pure laughter. Drug-free America. This is the most drug-addled society in human history. And the Drug-Free America Association was originally founded by the alcohol, tobacco, and pharmaceutical companies, which, last I checked, their business model is distributing drugs.
Personal feelings about marijuana aside, there is no denying the fact that criminalization of the substance bears little parity with other substances in the same area, such as alcohol or tobacco. But with all the millions being spent on preventing its use and prosecuting individuals who use it, who stands to gain?
There are entities out there that strongly lobby for the status quo to stay in place. Law enforcement, the very government agencies born of the prohibition, like the Partnership for Drug-Free America, the
Basically, what they're telling you that marijuana ain't as bad as they make it seem, but they made it look bad so they can profit off it. That's basically what they're telling you.
But they're still doing that. They're still doing that. It's still the same shit. They still doing that. In certain in the red states, and a lot of them red states.
I got a possession charge.
What would you say?
I got a possession charge one time, and I don't even smoke.
See, that's bullshit right there. That's bullshit. You know, that's bullshit right there. You feel me?
I had to pay $1,000 to beat the case.
See,
You
it's
could
money,
go to
man.
rehab. You could go to
Money.
rehab actually, and but you had to accept the probation, then go to rehab, and then they said they expunged it on your record. I said, no, I'm not doing that. I just pay the money to get out to beat it myself. Because I ain't want to go to rehab and be pissing all that stuff all week and stuff.
On some weed, bro. It's just I'm
Nah,
resting.
you
That's
know,
why
they found some roaches, man.
wow.
And they said possession is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah, they're just trying to be what's the name and shit.
I was 20. I think I was 26 years old at the time. Yeah. Yeah, and you know,
You act like that over some weed. That's crazy, man.
Chak, you there?
That's wild.
Chak, you smoking what?
Especially in them red states. Them red states, though, I don't understand. I mean, some blue states, but I don't understand why it's still like that. But see, they can't. They don't want to tax. They want to tax it a certain way. That's basically what it's over. So try to regulate it how they want to.
I mean, but they use it in the hospital though for therapeutics.
You said what you mean? You said they're using the hospital for therapeutics?
Yeah, they got medical marijuana. Let me tell you that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm confused about that. Like, how does that work and shit? And it's like only certain states honor that. It's that shit, man. That shit, dude. Control, man.
Yes, it is control.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let me keep going on this a little bit. This article, this video had a lot of information.
DARE program, the DEA, the Drug Czar's office, they will always oppose legalization. 3 would be the alcohol, tobacco, pharmaceutical companies that play both ends of the middle. They try to start things like the Partnership for Drug-Free America, but pretty clearly don't want to really have a drug-free America. The 4th entity are companies that are able to make money off of the prohibition, and that would be private prisons, drug testing companies. This is probably the most naked of our opposition, because if you get caught with marijuana, you can either choose the route of prosecution and potential conviction and then going to jail, or you go to rehab. Well, even the director of Normal, if I got caught by police with a small amount of marijuana, if I'm given a choice between going to jail and going to rehab, I'm going to pick rehab. And so 80% of their clientele are effectively pushed in the door by the government. So this is an incestuous relationship that has been set up between the drug rehabilitation profiteers and the government that brings their clients right to their door. And we, the taxpayers, pay for the rehabilitation.
Now, in the language the addicts use among themselves, they never say to each other, let's smoke a marijuana cigarette. They say, let's turn on, or let's blast a joint.
As with drinking raw milk, smoking a marijuana cigarette carries with it obvious health risks. But whether you want to blast a J or buy an outdoor slaughtered chicken from your local farmer, powerful lobbying groups have colluded with regulatory agencies to limit your freedom of choice.
When the government violently kicks down your door and comes onto your property with guns drawn, trying to get you to stop engaged in a certain behavior that's harming nobody else, that is a social injustice. I personally think of cannabis as just a metaphor for freedom. I think of it almost purely at this point now as a discussion over personal freedom and how much can the government intervene in your life, and intervene violently with guns drawn.
Okay, we've talked a lot about food and medicine and Lobo. But enough of that hippie talk. Everyone knows the world revolves around one thing and one thing only. Milk. I mean, money. But similar to independent farmers, small firms in the financial sector also face heavy regulations which benefit the large players.
I act in the securities industry, and there's all sorts of rules and regulations that I have to abide by. The vast majority of it doesn't protect my customers, the individual investor, and that's not why I believe it's there. That's the excuse that the politicians give the voters, but the real reason is because there are very large banks and brokerage firms that don't like small firms like mine competing with them, and so they want to tie us up in red tape. See, they can afford to pay for the regulations. It's the small firms that can't, but they didn't do it to help the investor. They did it to help the big brokerage firms that wanted protection from competition. And so that's what happens. But of course, the revolving door is when these guys leave Washington, they get cushy jobs at the companies they used to regulate.
So yeah, so that's pretty much what's going on with that. In a lot of ways. Yeah, but it's showing you that basically they make a big deal out of it, but it ain't as much as they want you to believe. So that's that. When you really look at it in a way.
It's all about regulating everything. All about money, man. You know what I'm saying?
You said it's all about regulating things.
They're doing that shit with the trade shit too. With the shit coming from China with the cargo, they control that shit. They don't want that shit. They don't want that shit to come over here. They want Elon Musk and them to keep getting rich. You know what I'm saying? Off their little bullshit electric cars, you know? That's all that is. They got electric cars for $10,000. Was it BYE? BYD? You know what I'm saying? That shit is all what that is, bro. That's just suppressing, you know what I'm saying? And then China's just been so big and bad. Yeah, but don't they own stuff in America? How's that work? You know, that's why I don't listen to none of that shit, man. All this shit is a lot of this shit is scapegoats so they could do what they want to do or could paint the narrative they want to paint. You know, so all that shit is. I just people.
This something that happened in your hometown.
What happened?
Many in a panic, unsure of what or where they're running from.
It was kind of shocking to see that there could be so many people in one place doing the exact same thing. I guess that's kind of like group mentality.
Videos like these plastering social media showing several groups of teens Saturday around 5 o'clock breaking out into sprints, circling them all.
It was kind of like crazy to see that happen, like in a place that's like really local.
I was running to the door and lock it.
Dorca Jimenez was working at Premier Hair and Beauty Salon right across from where it all went down Saturday and describes the ordeal as terrifying.
I was scared. I was something happened in the mall. Yeah, I was very scared. So all the customers here was scared too.
And witnesses say it all came to a head right here in the food court where one of the students threw a chair on camera. They then described.
I was looking at the comment section.
Suddenly we saw a group of children running through the mall.
Marcia Liberato had a front row seat as well and said.
You said what again?
Come on, bro. That shit, you already know what I'm going to say about that shit.
Kind of wild, ain't it, man?
Why is it 3 though? No, I mean, I don't know. Why is the number 3 coming up again? 3 people, so 3 suspects, right? And my thing is, if all them kids was running, why you only arrest three people? Is it because the number or what? The number 3? What do you or say that you arrested 3 people? And what was the crime? What did they get arrested for?
You're right, man.
Like running around the mall, is that illegal or what?
That's a good question, man.
Under what penal code, New York penal code statute fucking is that under, bro? Like, it looked like a psyop. It just looked like, you already know it's psyop. Like to me. You know what I'm saying? April's Fools, right? Was it today? When was that, today?
Yeah, man.
April Fools.
Yeah, somebody getting made a fool out of him. I think Dr. Lean was on earlier. He talking about something. Oh yeah, here it is right here.
Rates of colorectal cancer are on the rise in people younger than the age 50, but happening more now, colon cancer in kids.
Yeah, I've heard about this from local doctors saying that they are seeing cases in kids as young as 10 years old. And that's now shown in research that it is happening in young patients across the nation.
It's a change some doctors call alarming. The CDC studied cases from 1999 to 2022 and found colorectal cancer increased 500% for kids 10 to 14, 333% for ages 15 to 19, and 185% in 20 to 24-year-olds.
The reality is there's approximately 49 new cases per day of early onset colorectal cancer.
For years, adults have been warned that obesity, unhealthy diets, not enough physical activity, and certain medications could contribute to the rise in colon cancer, which is no doubt true. But in young kids who haven't had a long life to damage their bodies, what could be happening? Researchers think genetics play a big role in children's cancer risk.
It's really important to speak to your other family members about any history of any cancer, because a lot of these colorectal cancer syndromes are not just colorectal cancer. They're associated with other cancers.
So doctors and parents need to take notice of symptoms. The CDC says the most common are a change in bowel habits, abdominal pain, rectal bleeding, and signs of iron deficiency anemia.
Typically, colorectal cancer takes 5 to 10 years for a polyp to turn into cancer. So that's why doctors say it is puzzling that kids are developing this type of cancer more and more at such a young age. But that's why it's an important reminder for us, the parents, their biggest advocates, to just be aware that this is not just an adult disease.
Then what about the moment when you actually realize that you're not here by accident?
And if God can use a man without arms and legs to be his hands and feet to stand in front of the gates of hell and redirect traffic, God can use any willing heart. Amen.
On the other side of temporary pain, you meet your other self. If you can survive the temporary, you'll meet another version of you.
It's very crazy.
Damn. So that's come on, bro. Come on, man. These kids. And they're not 500%. Like, where are these numbers coming from? How does that work?
Now, I heard about this today.
But what about, I'm talking about the cancer thing. What
Want to see your babies.
What happened?
Only on Tuesday, a Livingston woman says she was kicked off of a Frontier Airlines flight last night at Bush Airport. The reason, well, she says it's about this medical device she was wearing that could save her life. The woman says the airline employees would not allow her to wear that device that would give her a life-saving shock if her heart stops working. She asked the Click to Houston help desk for some help. And good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Daniela Guzman. Keith is off. Our reporter Gage Golding started digging into how this all happened. He's live right now at Bush Airport. And Gage, this woman was pretty open about her medical condition and the medical device through security. So what happened when she got on that flight? What did you find out?
Yeah, hey, Danny, the FAA has a pretty blanket rule. There's a maximum battery capacity for any lithium-ion batteries. It's a 100 watt hours. Not important. I'm going to explain why. Your cell phone here is about 14 watt hours. The laptop that we're using to watch clicktohouston.com, and actually that we edited this story on, is about 53 watt hours. This big old battery that powers this big old light that lights us up in the night, and it's not even fully cranked on, is 92 watt hours. All of this stuff is under the total maximum, so we can take it on a plane. Her life-saving device comes in at under 11 watt hours, less than everything that we showed you. So why wasn't it allowed on the plane? Take a look.
I have what they call an low EF.
It's a heart condition that Tanya Roll was just diagnosed with a few weeks ago. Her heart doesn't push out enough blood and can go into AFib, meaning she's at risk for cardiac arrest.
In the meantime, I pack this around until we can get some more tests and decide what the next steps would be.
This is a little lifesaver, literally. A vest she wears under her shirt that's always watching, always tracking her heart rate, standing by to deliver a jolt if her heart were to stop working right. It's called a wearable cardiac defibrillator. They're made by a company called Zoll Medical. It's like an AED that you've seen hanging on the wall, just wearable. The manufacturer is saying they're safe to be worn on the airplane, and patients get that info when they get their device.
So I can't fly this plane because I have a medical device.
Not because the device you have is not on the approved list.
So why was Tanya told she couldn't fly with the device? Mind you, she's on the plane filming this video, way past TSA.
It's a lithium-ion battery, and that's not allowed.
That's the problem Frontier Airlines workers had. But the battery is within TSA guidelines, and by a long shot.
So the fact that I have a heart condition, I can't fly your airline.
It's not because of the heart condition, it's because of the equipment.
The explanation from Frontier? They're investigating to see what happened, which isn't quite cutting it for Tanya and her husband.
That discrimination, it's not just me. There's other people that have this. I feel like if I didn't have a heart condition, I did not have this, there wouldn't have been a problem.
And unceremoniously and without any, thought about the way that this would make someone feel on a crowded aircraft.
All right, let's cut to the chase. Bottom line, there's actually no reason why the device shouldn't have been able to fly on the airplane. Frontier Airlines vows that they are conducting an internal investigation. They are working to get to the bottom of this. In the meantime, they offer Tanya and her husband a 100% refund for the flight, and they even offered to rebook her on the flight. Tanya, though, telling me in a follow-up conversation just a little bit ago that she doesn't think she's going to take Frontier up on that. She doesn't really have any confidence in Frontier at this point. I asked both the FAA and the TSA for input on this as well. They kind of did a little bit of finger pointing at one another. So bottom line, she should have been able to fly on the plane. We showed you all the things that you can take on a plane. So very interesting story and hopefully a resolution for Tanya. I'm live here at Bush Intercontinental. Gage Golding, KPRC2 News.
Gage, thank you. And as Gage mentioned, we found out about this story through our Click to Houston help desk. You can also send
Crazy stuff going on in there.
Yeah, that is. Hey, man, I'm telling you. But yeah, that they don't let batteries. They don't even let the charges on the motherfucker. Certain charges and shit you gotta lock away. There's a lot of this. They ain't gonna let that on there because that shit could explode. The plane could explode. But I'm the type of motherfucker. I'm the kind of person that would call if I had some shit like that. I would call in advance and find out. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
You're right. You say you would call and see what's going on, huh?
I would call, see what the rules are, how that shit works and shit. You know what I mean? Before buying a ticket and booking it and all that bullshit. It's kind of weird. Like you didn't ask none of the people any of that before you bought your ticket.
Well, one thing about it, they ain't supposed to be doing that shit no way.
Yeah, you're talking about riding with any lithium, right?
Yeah, they know that.
They should know. Don't know. That's why I'm like, she don't know.
They should know it, but watch this. Show you something I found out the other day. I was talking about it. Since we are in March Madness.
You motherfucking idiot.
We in March Madness, man. Damn. Nah, I can't. Oh, now they don't even find it. Trying to find this shit, man. We see they had an ice storm. In what was it, Wisconsin? Final Four. Let me take this up. I ain't really hadn't put it up, but that's all right. I mean, they were talking about, you know, the Jewish coaches in the Final Four or whatever, but that's what they were really talking about. All right. So I said before, you know, you asked me some things about the bar, which is the British Accreditation Registry.
Frustrated with the way you currently file your taxes? What if you could track your tax expert's progress and
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Constitutional Attorney Catherine Henry, and welcome to this week's episode of Restore Freedom Weekly. This is episode number 12 of this weekly series, and this week I think we have a pretty interesting topic. It's not as passionate and heated as some of the discussions have been that have made it into the national spotlight and with mainstream media, but this is nonetheless a topic that quite a few people do bring up or ask me about in a variety of circumstances, so I figured we needed to get it addressed. So, hi Jeff, I'm not sure what the comment about me being blocked on YouTube is, but he's saying that we should all move to Rumble, and we do have this live.
This kind of long, but this is about the bar, the British Accredited Registry. That's what bar means, British Accredited Registry. That's all it means. I mean, I'm just letting you know what it is. I mean, it's long, like an hour and 35 minutes. So no, an hour and 10 minutes. My bad. So I just want to put that out. And here goes something.
Fox News alert to what is being described as a very active scene currently under investigation in Boston. You can see this box truck with a Penske label on it on its side on a sidewalk in Boston. Multiple pedestrians were struck and carried to the hospital. You can see the police tape encompassing a pretty big area there, right in the middle of the business day. Here's what we know so far and what we are now learning. Multiple pedestrians were struck in what appeared to be a box truck in downtown Boston. The Boston PD press office has put out additional details. When asked if this appears to be accidental or intentional, the response was, it's currently under investigation.
Come on, man. How do they not know
this? To avoid the area. I want to bring in former Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis by phone. Ed, I just want to work through some more details here. The call came in about 12:48 p.m. Officers responded to a radio call for a motor vehicle accident. Pedestrians struck at this intersection, downtown Boston, right outside Tufts Hospital in Chinatown. Upon arrival, officers observed a truck that appeared to have struck a nearby building, as well as an unknown number of pedestrians. Boston Fire and EMS are on the scene assisting in rescue efforts. Some of our video did show some of the pedestrians being carried off in stretchers. You can see broken glass from the storefronts all over the ground there. They're describing this as a very active scene. They still don't have a.
What does that mean, active? Why do they keep saying that?
These two are critical, and the homicide teams are on site, and the fatal accident teams are also there responding. So Ed,
what? How are the people on scene? These people are just in critical condition. So why would, if nobody died, why would they be on scene? And what happened to the driver? Why are they not talking about what happened to him? What about the driver, the person driving the truck? Oh, two pedestrians. Okay, what about the driver? Look, I mean, the motherfucker turned on his side. Is he injured? Like, okay, And how do you not know if this shit is on accident or not? How do you not know that? That shit happened at 1 o'clock in the afternoon earlier, bro. How the fuck? It's fucking 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, bro. How do you? I can't. This shit is bullshit, man. A lot of these stories are just like even if they're real stories, like Chak be saying, even if they're real stories, the way they report the shit, it's like I ain't gonna give you no detail or none. It's like, what the fuck?
You right? You right 100%.
I see why people, but see, Fox News be. I don't care what nobody say. Fox News be throwing out psyops too, man. It ain't just CNN. It ain't just MSNBC. Fox News be throwing out the cold psyops too, man. The cold psyops, all these shit.
Wait a minute. Well, Fox News is one of the big six, though, man.
So look how the Republican or conservative leaning they are. But then didn't Rupert Murdoch give Barack Obama his money for his campaign?
Yeah, I mean that's right.
That's why I don't be. That's another reason I don't be getting into a lot of this shit, because it's all bullshit. You know,
give us your thoughts as we're waiting on more information. Also hearing now that the firefighters had to use extrication tools to remove the trapped driver from the cab of the truck. Your thoughts?
Sure. That particular intersection, Nealon Street in particular, is a very highly traveled roadway, very congested. A lot of pedestrians on the sidewalk there as it butts up against Chinatown. It's a tragic situation to see that truck on its side like that, assuming that it rolled over on pedestrians. And it does appear as though two people transported from the scene are in critical condition. It's common practice for the homicide unit to respond to something like this when you have critical injuries. That doesn't mean that everyone is going to die. It just means that the injuries are such that they should do a very thorough investigation. So the homicide unit teams up with the accident investigators, and they do a very comprehensive review of the scene. As far as using the jaws of life to extricate the driver of the truck, that's not unusual when there's that kind of damage to a vehicle. They try to get them out as safely and stably as possible. The other thing that's important to remember in a situation like this is Penske is a rental, mostly a rental truck company. So it brings up the question as to how much experience the driver had.
So now they tell me how much experience the driver had and all that other nonsense. Okay, whatever.
Okay, we go. So are we talking about? Are they talking about this marriage? Are they trying to get with the marriage? What they trying to insinuate? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a merit hire or what? What does even that matter? Motherfuckers, sometimes accidents happen, bro. What is it? You could have 10 years on the fucking job. What does any of that even matter? Like,
You're right.
Fuck. These motherfuckers say I don't, the unlogical shit. I'm really not trying to, when I hear shit that's not logical, bro, I really try to like just to draw that shit out, put that one ear and out the other, because that shit don't need that just the fact that ain't logical alone, I'm like looking at that shit weird. And then the news is sensationalized shit, and they put shit out, and it's a bunch of propaganda and bullshit and lied. On top of that, Luigi,
and U.S. Attorney General.
This is a psyop.
They say they got to give him the death penalty.
General Pam Bondi is seeking the death penalty for Luigi.
No. So okay, so I thought, so what is this now? Is this a federal case? And I guess it's just only a federal case because he went from state to state. What is going on right here? This is not a state case now. Now it's a federal. What are they doing? Because if it's a state case, she cannot get into. Pam Bondi has nothing to do with that. This is
they say it.
And I see motherfuckers. I really see a lot of Democrat left motherfuckers falling for this shit, bro. I noticed that. I mean, both sides. I see both sides falling for it. Really,
this is a funny shit,
bro. This motherfucker, bro. Why are they showing this dude with the picture again with the sweater on? You cannot, bro. If I'm in custody, I'm not wearing anything but the jumpsuit, county jail jumpsuit. Period. What the fuck? They got him in a Brooks Brothers. They got him in a Brooks Brothers sweater and shit. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
Let me go bad, bro. I'm gonna play it though, because this is some funny shit, man.
G. Mangione, a Baltimore County native, is accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York. Good evening. I'm Kai Jackson.
Anti-vaccine striker. We begin with Mangione's case as the Attorney General says her calls for the death penalty are part of an effort to stop violent crime.
Fox 45's Jessica Babb is following today's developments. She spoke to a legal expert about what this could mean for Mangione's case. Jessica.
How the fuck is that going to stop?
If Luigi Mangione is ultimately convicted, a jury will have to unanimously decide to impose the death penalty. And while some legal experts question if this is the best use of resources, his defense attorney says they plan to fight it.
It doesn't work like that, right? It doesn't work like that. You gotta. He hasn't even been in trial, bro.
Inside the courtroom, the stakes for Luigi Mangione are getting even higher, with U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi making a.
Bro, his trial is not even done yet. It doesn't work like that. You get convicted and all that after everything. I mean, you get convicted to death or whatever after everything's done, bro. Oh my god, bro. This shit is so fake, man. I'm like, bro, that's not even how it works, man. What the? So, and then they talking about, so these damn, they're talking about, oh man, these, the illegal immigrants are due process, but this motherfucker don't got due process, bro. Yeah, right. Come on, man. Stop, please stop.
Major announcement
Tuesday,
directing federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty in the case. In a statement saying the murder of Brian Thompson, an innocent man and father of two, was a premeditated, cold-blooded assassination. She says they plan on carrying out President Trump's agenda to stop violent crime and make America safe again. It's part of the administration's push to revive the death penalty and lift moratoriums on federal executions.
The death penalty is often put on the table as a potential bargaining chip to get somebody to plead to life in prison. It's hard to say whether or not ultimately it will stick.
Mangione, a 26-year-old guilty grad, is facing federal and state murder charges, accused of killing Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO, back in December, outside of a Manhattan hotel.
We were able to match that gun to the 3 shell casings that we found in Midtown at the scene of the homicide.
Prosecutors say Mangione had a notebook speaking out against the health insurance industry. He was later tracked down in Pennsylvania and arrested. The New York State charges include killing as an act of terrorism. But in a New York City courtroom with Mangione facing a judge.
How do you plead to this indictment, sir? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty. But in response to the death penalty that's now on the table, Mangione's attorney is firing back, saying the Justice Department has moved from dysfunctional to barbaric. She says the decision to execute Luigi is political and goes against the recommendation of federal prosecutors.
So that's what's going on right there.
So okay, check this out. I was just breaking this down to my homie and my uncle. So how is this dude a hero? For one, all this it doesn't work like that. All that shit happens when you get sentenced and everything. It doesn't work like that. Okay. And for two, how the hell is this dude a hero when just because he shot another white person? Why are we not calling that white on white crime? If that was GPJ, if that was a black dude that killed another black dude, wouldn't they just call that what they call it black on black crime?
Yeah.
Yeah, these motherfuckers got us. Got him. Yeah, man. They use that black. That just goes to show that black on black crime shit's a narrative, bro. Now that's true. We do kill each other a lot, and that is some bullshit. But that shit is a narrative. That's just a narrative. Just like Chicago. What about Chicago, dude? Like, why do they always got to say the same shit? Nigga, what about motherfucking backwater Kansas? We y'all got the Trailer Park Alley, nigga. What about that? The Trailer Park Horizon and shit.
Well, a couple of days ago, I always tell you, watch out for the big time distractions. You're going to look at this and you be like, what the hell is going on? I'm not going to play because it's too long. I mean, you can go look at it on your own time. But they had a nice hearing in the House with the Lubitschek rabbis.
Looking for reliable car insurance that doesn't break the bank? With us,
And they were
you
talking
get
about
comprehensive
anti-Semitism.
coverage starting.
Education, Labor, and Pensions will please come to order. Thank you to all of our witnesses for being here to discuss a really important topic. On October the 7th, 2023, the world watched in horror as Hamas terrorists invaded Israel, slaughtered 1,200 innocent men, women, and children. Hundreds of victims, including babies as young as 9 months old, were taken hostage and subjected to abuse and torture. It should have been a time for unity, standing with the Jewish people against hate. Instead, for over a year, violence and anti-Semitic demonstrations rocked our country. At colleges and universities, Jewish students were harassed and attacked for who they are. According to the Anti-Defamation League, there were 1,200 reported anti-Semitic incidences on college campuses between 2023 and 2024, a 500% increase from the previous year. Instead of standing up for Jewish students, too many university officials failed to respond or refused to even condemn these horrific occurrences. Under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, the Department of Education must hold universities accountable for failing to address discrimination against students on campuses. After October the 7th, the Biden administration refused to penalize universities violating Title VI. I led a roundtable to examine anti-Semitism on college campuses, attended by both Republicans and Democrats. It's disappointing that previous Democrat leadership refused to consider any legislation or hold even one hearing on this bipartisan issue. With President Trump in office and a Republican majority in Congress, the time of failed leadership is over. Universities have been put on notice. Failing to protect a student's civil rights will no longer be tolerated. If universities refuse to follow the law, to address discrimination on campuses, and to support Jewish students, then they should not expect the support of the federal taxpayer. Just last week, after pressure from the Trump administration, Columbia University agreed to change its policies and crack down on demonstrators targeting Jewish students. The Trump administration has launched investigations into 60 universities concerning allegations of anti-Semitic discrimination and harassment on campuses. These efforts would not have been possible without the strong leadership of President Trump and Secretary McMahon. Today, as chair of the Help Committee, I launched an investigation into the American Muslims for Palestine, demanding answers about their activities on college campuses. This group's leaders have ties to Hamas and helped create the group Students for Justice in Palestine. I also requested information from the Justice Department and several universities on these groups. We must continue to build upon these efforts. As we saw at Columbia last month, pro-Hamas activists continue to wreak havoc on campuses. Jewish students still feel unsafe to go to school. I led the Protecting Students on Campus Act, bipartisan legislation ensuring students know how to file civil rights complaints if they experience discrimination on college campuses. I look forward to considering this and other legislation in committee and on the Senate floor. Jewish students and their families are depending upon us to defend their civil rights. President Trump and congressional Republicans are committed to this. Thank you again to all our witnesses. I look forward to discussing how we can better discuss protecting Jewish students and ensuring a safe learning environment for all. With that, I recognize Senator Sanders for his opening statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding this important hearing. And I hope I speak for every member of this committee in saying that hate and discrimination of any kind is beyond acceptable and has no place in our society. In the United States of America in the year 2025, it should not be a controversial statement to say that anti-Semitism is horrific and must not be tolerated any place.
Perfect the world under the sovereignty of the Almighty God. Many refer to it merely as Tikkun Olam, but this is the original mandate. This brings me to the pressing issue of today's hearing. Anti-Semitism is not just an age-old prejudice. It is a contemporary crisis manifesting on campuses across the nation.
Now, remember I told you they were going to start coming to the forefront. I told you this months ago they're going to start coming to the forefront. I told you they ain't going to be small heads. They're going to be the ones with the black heads. Remember I told you that, Frank?
What happened now?
I said, remember I told you months ago they were going to start coming more to the forefront now?
With this anti-Semitism, yeah, facts.
Well, you see, that one ain't got no small head. He got the black head on. He got the big head.
Just like the Klan up north had different, you know what I'm saying, different outfits of the Klan in the south.
Yeah, you see him. Yeah, you see him right there.
With Bernie Sanders over here talking.
It is not enough for individuals or institutions to merely claim they are not anti-Semitic. As my father once taught me, it is not enough for people, especially public figures, to be neutral or not be anti-Semitic. One must be anti-Semitic.
What's up with this dude's accent?
We must demand the same of our universities and government institutions. This hearing, in my opinion, is an attempt to be just that, anti-Semitic. We recently celebrated Purim. We're soon going to celebrate Passover, two great indicators of our history of overcoming oppression and discrimination. Jewish students are increasingly targeted, harassed, and ostracized simply for being Jewish or expressing support for Israel. This crisis escalated dramatically after October 7th when Hamas carried out its brutal terrorist attack on Israel. Many Jewish students who once felt safe and included on campus suddenly found themselves abandoned by peers and institutions they once supported. Students have been physically threatened, spat upon, had their mezuzahs ripped from their dorm doors, even faced academic retaliation for their Jewish identity. Jewish students who wore kippahs or other identifying symbols reported being verbally assaulted and in some cases physically attacked.
All right, let's stop here. Let's stop this right here. Hold on, man. Where the video is at, man? Where the proof is of this shit, man? I'm gonna ask the question. I ain't seen it, man. Just show me,
But
man.
wait, but see, that January 7th should happen on Benjamin Netanyahu's birthday. I mean, that October 7th should happen on Benjamin Netanyahu's birthday, though. Damn, these motherfuckers gotcha. Bam.
You know what? Benjamin Netanyahu did just come out and say that basically he controls Trump and all that yesterday too, or something like that.
And Larry Fink said the same thing at the Big Seven Summit.
He
said the same thing.
But I know. But I'm just saying, he basically came out and told you. I mean, but that's not surprising. I mean, I had told you about Murray and Madison and all these people before. But remember I told you last week what is this, March 27th, they had this hearing. And I told you when they had these big distractions, you might want to go find out what these Jewish rabbis and stuff got going on. I find it very, what's your girl named Candace Owens? I find it very funny that she's bringing these things up about them. I said, wait a minute. I already checked in your background. You a Rothschild, so you might be trying to get clickbait. But, you can't be serious. As a matter of fact,
Her boyfriend, her dude got a don't he got a bank with
one of the people
George
that
Soros?
I don't know what to do with her, but I know that she
Oh, excuse me, Rockefeller. My bad. That's what's the name. That's
Rothschilds and one of them, but they were part of that Pilgrim Society thing. But yeah, but they just had this hearing last week on 27th. What day was that? Well, it don't matter what day it was. It was less than a week. So
27th.
Yeah. So this went on last week. Of course, they had little fanfare. Nobody talked about it on the media or too much. Maybe a few people might have mentioned it, but what I'm saying, they didn't notice these hearings like this don't get major headlines. You realize that, right?
Wait, hold on for a second, BJ. Hold on.
You good? Yes, I did notice he said identity, which is very identical because it's what he identifies as. That's right. Very smart. I'm glad you picked it up too, man. Man, I know I'm not the only one that's crazy.
Man, it's fucking cold outside, man. What the fuck? Yeah, identity though.
And now for the grand finale, brother. Before I leave you, it is what day is it today, brother? Is it not New Year's Day?
Yep.
Okay. Well, let me play this for you. Just play this for you, just to.
I took two things that I love, dancing and dogs, and I made them into a successful business. Hi,
Well, change your pace now from
Mm.
aioli toothpaste
No thanks.
to the McDonald's Micro Mac. We've seen some pretty convincing April Fool's jokes over the years.
Lululemon Pledge. Spray-on yoga pants. For only $1,200 per can.
We came up with a product that will reinvent drinking forever. Nano Drop, a cutting-edge, state-of-the-art condensed form of sparkling water.
To keep your mouth Whopper fresh, use Whopper toothpaste.
It smells of Whopper in here. Did you brush your teeth?
Whopper toothpaste. Keep your mouth Whopper fresh 24/7.
You know what's
I
so
do
pause
love
for a
it
second?
all.
Stop for a
Actually, the
second. Pause it.
iconic Dave Franks is back for another year and to break down some of the
But pause
biggest
for a
stuff we've
second.
seen so far. We had
Yep.
You know the crazy thing about it is toothpaste actually does have a lot of harmful chemicals in that motherfucker. And you cannot, you know what I'm saying? Most toothpaste you cannot swallow that shit. That shit's poisonous, and it even says on the back. I mean, you
Yeah,
swallow,
say
you know
that,
what I'm saying, called poison control. So basically, that's subliminal right there, saying that they basically saying that they got they got products and all types of bullshit in the toothpaste. That's basically what I took out of that. A little subliminal.
Well, watch this. So let me show you something very interesting, Frank. Very interesting. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Watch this. Damn. It's gonna be funny, Frank. This for you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is for you, man, and for everybody in this good old chat. Some historians speculate that the custom dates back to 1582 when France switched from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, meaning that the new year began around April 1st. Those who forgot that the start of the new year had moved to January 1st and continued to celebrate April became known as April Fools. No, actually, this is the new year. But they told you it was April Fools. So got you. April Fools.
Right. Hey, pull up the video real quick. I got like you can play this one if you either the universal basic income or you want to play this one about the Doge trying to gift itself $500 million building. Which one? Want to go with the?
I put up the universal basic income thing because I got. Yeah. You want universal basic income? That was an article you sent me, but I saw it. Yeah, but
oh, it's an article. Damn. Hold up. These motherfuckers talking about a trial. Hold up. Let me pull something else. Let me just pull up regular. That universal basic income ain't no joke, man. That's where it's going to.
Matter of fact, I'll play. You know what? I'm gonna play this video for you because a friend of mine sent it to me. Out there in Maryland, matter of fact, yeah, he sent it to me. I'm gonna break that. I just give this kind of like a tidbit of what you're talking about here. I know what you're talking about. Kind of. I mean, you were talking about the Doge thing or something like that, right? Hold on for a minute. Let me see what I got here. This is what this lady's saying. And she got some good points, actually. My buddy Greg sent it to me. So yeah, I mean, he sent me something. What did I'm fooling?
For the FAA with his own Starlink program. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And it's also my understanding that Mr. Elon Musk, who has also infiltrated NOAA, which is the agency that does our weather service and tells the Americans and the world that, what's going to happen with the weather, that there's also indications inside the agency that he would like to have SpaceX become the primary contractor for the satellite systems for NOAA. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And we've also heard that Mr. Elon Musk, who the DOD secretary almost gave access to secret war plans for China last week, is also angling to get billions of dollars in new contracts under the Department of Defense. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So I don't know about all of you guys, but this sure looks like a scam to me. I mean, right, they're calling it waste, fraud, and abuse, but really what we see is a special government employee who's a private businessman. He's the wealthiest man in the world. And he is literally infiltrating these federal agencies that he has a personal financial interest in. He's cutting the programs. He's eliminating staff. And then he is essentially positioning himself to put into place private contracts. My understanding that he replaced the communications contract for the FAA with his own Starlink program. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I don't know where this lady's sitting at, but I do know that and let's get this straight, by the way, because none of these people actually the only thing she said wasn't infiltrated to me, because when I already told you, the government already had these programs, and then they put them in the hands of these CEOs or call them founders or whatever, right? They put them in the hands of these people, and then they basically run the same game, right? So
Talking about as far as Elon, they get put it in.
no, I'm just talking about a lot of people. Larry Ellison, Elon, doesn't matter. These are CIA programs they use, and then they get them, and these people are really front men. Really, to tell you the truth, the thing about it, even having the money, they might give them the money to do it, but they really don't have that money up front. Without the government's backing.
Yeah, you're right. Starlink and all that.
Yeah,
all that shit's been CIA. That's been CIA. You're right.
Tesla,
just
all that
changing
stuff.
Around, giving it right,
yeah,
dressing it up.
But they got to put a face on it, because they can't let you know it's government controlled thing already, like DARPA, all that stuff. Even I can go to Gates, all of them. These people ain't nothing but private contracts for governments.
Yeah, Palantir with the what's the name with the Neuralink and
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And
but yeah, since you broke down something, you actually said something about the UBI. That's a program they're saying that's going to be used, because it's saying that people basically won't be used for labor anymore. So they just saying, give everybody income or whatever. That's what you're talking about. Right.
That shit's gonna be controlled and regulated just like everything else, bro.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like the school shit. That school, all that the Department of Education was just to push more AI on that shit. They're like, oh, bring it back to the States, bro. What do you mean bring it back to the States? It'll be the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Because the Department of Education, they said they only funded it a little bit. So what's the difference? And the state was giving them the curriculum. What would be the difference? And in blue states and the red states, they basically going to be teaching the kids different things. So how is that? And what's name's going to have the better education?
Well, if you heard the rabbi, was it the guy? No, it was the guy speaking at first. He was talking about the Department of Education and anti-Semitism. And I do know that in certain parts of I think it was Israel or Palestine, this ain't in the Department of Education, but I think they want to get rid of terms. You gotta look it up, but I think they were talking about getting rid of terms like settler colonialism and all that.
Yep. I was talking about that. I was talking about that with Chak today earlier. Yep.
What? The terms like settler colonialism and all that.
And you know why?
Well, wait a minute.
My bad, BJ. I got sidetracked.
No. That settler colonialism thing is actually a worldwide thing too, as well. They're trying to label it, but that's a worldwide thing. That just means anybody that's trying to colonize anybody's land. That could be here, there, everywhere. But it's mighty funny they want to try to use things to try to block those words. That's kind of very hypocritical. But that just go to show you that, hey, look, you get a hostile takeover, man. I mean, that they think they ran some psyop today talking about, I think they said, I guess they said some immigrants or some guy taken mistakenly to El Salvador or some shit like that, right?
You already know what I think.
I mean, it is what it is, but my thing is, like I told the guy, I do not have a problem with deportation. It's the way it's like, you're saying that. I'm not talking about I forget the guy's name, that the activist they claimed was on campus. Whatever, fine, whatever, fuck it. Right. The Palestinian, whatever he was. I'm looking like, yes, you're right, Franklin. Removing more oppositional opinions is paramount to lie, because what they're doing, they're putting actors out there to act the part, but then you have real people that don't agree, and they're gonna knock you off your horse, and then they're gonna try to say what you're saying is basically
fact. It's all like how motherfuckers do product placement and all that shit, and it's just basically like this, but it's It's propaganda placement, bro. It's narrative placement.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That's all that shit is.
So you're right. I
Just
mean,
like the third Trump third term shit. My bad. What we gonna say?
Oh, you're right. But it's showing you how far they're going. And like I was telling you, this is really more of a, I mean, really tell you the truth, this is more of a censorship thing for it. They need to call it what it is. It's not even really, it's just censorship because they're trying to say, you know, like the guy said, talking about oppression and stuff. I said, dude, like, yo, I gotta look at the guy's name that was in the hearing. I guarantee if he's a millionaire, he ain't talking about being oppressed. Okay, but I didn't even look up his name yet. I found out his name. I found out his name or whatever. I'll look him up in real. I might do a breakdown on him, but you notice they're in the Congress now, so they're not being in the background anymore. They coming on out. You know, like I'm coming out. I want the world to know. I want to let it show, right? Yeah, that's how they run in that game, right? But just saying. So people got to understand. And notice, like Franklin Zula saying in chat, notice he said identity. He did say identity. So one thing about censorship and desperation last this effort. Now, that's right.
It's censorship. It's all that. It's control. The universal basic income. All this shit. AI. All this shit is coming. You know, that's another reason why they was firing a bunch of people too. Even though other administrations have done this shit in the past, fired people and stuff like that.
Well,
the thing is, this is. I mean, those are probably plays too. I don't know. I'm not gonna pick Kate for anybody in these motherfuckers. But I'm saying this is obviously, you know, an obvious lie right here. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, moving all that money to your own contracts, your own. How come none of your contracts get audited? That's my question. None of your contracts get audited. They don't take no money from your damn contracts or deduct any money from your contracts. Why are they not deducting from this damn military spending? That shit is like 800 what? Bills, all this bullshit.
You know what's so crazy? I'm glad you said something about that. I'm glad you said something about military
it's like car insurance. You get it. Hope I mean, in case, just in case, exactly, just in case. It's not even. When's the last time we had a real war, bro? And all this shit, military spending 800 billion. It's like, bro, this shit is ridiculous, bro.
Let me say something about that too. Let me say that. Let me say the one thing before I go. Let me say something about that. I'm glad you mentioned that military spending. Because I just had a friend of mine, his son, or stepson or whatever, I think he just went to the Navy the other day. Actually, he told me about it, right? So I just want to bring that up. So what I'm saying is, man, look, I'm going to say this to you in closing. Just watch your friends, let them know, and people got to be real, man. Like, yo, it's a lot of things going on, but they're running psyops every day, right? So you know these psyops, you just got to be aware of the psyop. Don't get to, and always look, like I always tell you, look to the name of the person. Like that rabbi, I didn't put his name on the screen. But if I find out who he is, I'll get back to you on it. But what I'm saying,
Shmuley? That's not Shmuley. No, that's not the. No.
That's not Shmuley. No.
That's not the same dude that Candace Owens debated. No, right? That guy. No,
that's not him. No, as a matter of fact, that guy didn't even have no head on. That other dude just looked like this dude had a head on. I don't know. They got all these sects or something like that. But that guy, I think the Chebel tribe or something. It's one of them tribe. It's one of them Jewish sects that got that's cool. Now, believe it or not, they meet with Putin, Zelensky, and Trump. That's funny, right? They meet with all of them, right? So,
but what are you gonna say about the military spending though? You gonna say something about that?
Oh no, I was just saying that my buddy, his son went in the Navy the other day. So military still getting funded, man.
See, that's what I'm not saying, it's just like they know damn well that's why everything they tell you is a lie. China's a big bad enemy. No, you just want to suppress China's electric vehicles. That's all. You just don't want us to have that shit because it's direct competition. And they selling the motherfuckers for $10,000, top of the line shit for $10,000. You can't even get a regular gas, any kind of car for $10,000 in America. You see what I'm saying? That's all they do is trying to corner the market and trying to keep Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and the motherfuckers rich. That's all that is.
Well, here's my thing.
It's really that simple.
Here's my thing with the Chinese thing. It's like this. If you look at the products, I know you brought up something about the eggs being imported or something the other day. You were talking about that right earlier.
Bring some eggs from another country. That's a stupid. Just to even say that is dumb.
Well, to me, if you got, I mean, I saw a rooster today. So I see a rooster is a chicken around somewhere.
Facts.
Rooster job just fertilize the egg. That's all the job is. Right? Fertilize the egg. Right.
But they can't drop.
Right. But see, that's what they do. That's what I'm saying. They're basically just killing the chicken. And that might not even that might be a little bit of falsified too, though. I just think this is a big psyop. I just think because I remember back like last year, even before all this bird flu nonsense, I remember the eggs they was up back then at these places, bro. They started in California.
Who is killing? Let me ask you a question, man. First of all, hold it up. You talking about chicken, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't live, I'm not saying you couldn't see it in a city area, but most people who got a boatload of chickens live in rural areas anyway.
Anyway, facts.
So if you're in a city, you ain't seeing no damn chicken coop that much. I know some Hispanics around here that got some chickens and stuff like that, and maybe because one of them was chasing a cat because the cat was trying to get in the damn coop. But what I'm saying, you're just not gonna. I mean, the average person in your city block ain't gonna run into no damn chicken, man.
Facts.
You might see a rooster every now and then.
So that's how you know state. So it's like, and then let's not forget about Monsanto's. Does Monsanto's have anything to do with any of this shit? Places like corporations like that got all the food.
You know they do. As a matter of fact, in that video, I skipped some of it because I was getting to that marijuana thing, but they mentioned Monsanto in there.
That's what I'm saying. It's all this hoarding shit. There's somebody behind this shit, man. It's not rocket science, man. That's what I tell people, bro. It ain't even nothing to really.
The money is man. The money is the motive. Okay,
it's everything.
The motive.
The money is the rent.
So somebody getting paid and somebody getting played. Let's put it like that. Just want to say this one more time. Happy New Year. And by the way, since they changed the calendar.
Raining out here?
Since they changed the calendar, right? They call it Happy New Year. So they changed the calendar for Jews the season. Go ahead, man. Shout out your information, man.
Word, man. Good show, man. Good info. Once again, once again, they blocking. These people blocking, man. These people. This narrative shifting, just like I said with that third term Trump shit. It's all propaganda.
They power blocking.
It's all propaganda. It's all, you know what I'm saying, to basically make us, you know what I'm saying, react a certain way. Just like the what's the name? The Black History Museum shit, all that shit just to make us react a certain way to me. You know what I'm saying? Like we were saying before. It does.
Wait a minute.
Damn, like I was saying before, remember the what's the name? The project. It sound like project. Some of this shit sound like Project 2025. Keep it real.
React. Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
React if you must, but you gotta find out who you need to look up them names when they come across that screen, and then
that could be an actor, right? Fact.
Yes, right. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, I don't have a problem, but don't take their word at face value. Remember, I told you about the limited hangouts thing.
Facts.
They're running games on all fronts.
Just like we were talking about that Tesla shit the other day. Somebody was like, "Oh, they're not coast to coast, bro." So so does this work? Motherfuckers got walkie-talkies and shit. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Okay, Virginia check, California check. Come on, dude. You know how much money?
I'm think about it. Look at man. No, hold on, man. Hold on, man. I was at the stoplight tonight, man. There was a Tesla in front of me. I ain't thinking about plowing down no damn Tesla.
What'd you say?
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I see Teslas all the time. Especially a lot of these Asians got it. They go Google got over those cars.
I was at the traffic light. There was a Tesla right in front of me at the light. It was me and another car. We were the only two cars in the traffic light. I was behind the Tesla. Man, ain't nobody think. Look at me. Now, if they going up on insurance prices on them Teslas, that might tell you this is a whole plan thing to go up on insurance, man.
Yeah, because And and then just by people putting that narrative out there like that, but see, like I said, these are not neutral people. They're not neutral. They jumping on the Republic, which is fine, whatever the fuck the case is. I don't see why anybody would jump on any side. It's kind of weird. And this goes how ignorant you are. But look, you know what I'm saying? Just by pushing that narrative like that right there, that's just deceptive right there. And that right there lets you know, Milo, that you don't have no critical thinking, no wherewithal, because like I said, it takes money and effort and time to fucking plan something like that, bro. Across coast to coast from different countries. I mean, different states.
They talking about this shit going on in other countries now.
Yeah, see that because it's ridiculous, bro. It's ridiculous, man. And why is that the only way to protest? Oh, let's go vandalize. And then remember when they talk about, see, that's how you know stage 2, because then they talk about
wait a minute.
Domestic terrorists.
Now on the day of the Final Four, April 5th, they talking about having a massive protest across the United States to protest. I said, who set this shit up? Right.
Oh yeah. That was something, and that's white people that's planning that shit on the 5th.
Yeah, get you out there in the tailspin.
But see, the thing is, look, none of that shit is gonna help, dude. That's what that's my thing. Like, all this shit it's gonna be the same thing. This could be a big ass distraction. That could be a big ass psyop. That could be a big ass false flag.
Call it. Hey, look, man, I'm gonna be nice to you, man. Call it a floor show, man. Get ready, floor show. I call it a floor show. As a matter of fact, I might call it a horse show.
Facts.
Cause somebody getting played. But shout out to information, man.
All right, yeah, man. So you know what I'm saying? Let's stay watchful, stay vigilant from all this madness.
Shout out to information.
And this BS, you know what I'm saying? So y'all could, give me XX Frank Nitty XX on YouTube and also on Instagram, and Frank Jones 8115 on Instagram. Tap in, man. Check out the content. You know what I mean?
Now, all right. Well, I don't know where Chak is. I think he's been on, but you get him in Chak Wilder, Instagram, Shakir's Edwards, Facebook, et cetera. I don't know where he is, but maybe something happened, but it is what it is. People, be vigilant. Do not fall. We're still having weird weather patterns. It was 80 today, yesterday, 62 yesterday, 62 tomorrow, whatever the case may be. You just have to just watch your step. Don't fall into the madness. And remember, you are always the answer. Nobody else. You are the answer. So take your time, brother.
All right, salute.
Gotcha.